Hey, when you restart the game, as soon as you start Act 2, the opening wordage changes.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, show me another. Here.
Oh, no.
Show me another.
Give me the mouse.
I want to see another one.
Give me the fucking mouse, I will do it.
Show me another one. I saw another one. It was really cool. I want to see if we can get that one again. Come on.
Okay, let's try it again.
What's this one gonna say? That's slightly creepy.
So there are tons of those that'll actually start showing up after she kills herself, and when you start the second route. Some of them are kind of weird. I think one of them says "look behind you," which sucks for me because I hate shit like that.
Well, I'm actually here, so.
No, you're right. I actually have another person, so it's not as bad.
That's why you brought me along.
Exactly. So I wouldn't be scared of the anime girls. Now, something I actually, I did a little bit of research. And I found out how this minigame actually works.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I looked up a guide because this is actually overly complicated for a game like this. In order to get a special CG scene with any girl, you need to get a total of 45 points with this poem.
Well, I gotta be a hell of a fucking poet then, sheesh.
Every word has a specific point value to each girl. Now, the thing is, you can also have them hate your poem if you score under 29 points. So it's all based on a point system.
So how bad did I fuck up in the second poem where I just ranted about Noburo-kun?
Well, there was one poem where you just randomly clicked and somehow we got there we go, and that was enough points. And
yeah!
You did awesome.
I'm a master poet!
You did awesome. You did awesome. So I have a list of words right here that are actually good. I'm going to go in a specific route here. But just know that certain words are worth 3 points and are considered love words. For that specific girl, that'll gain you 3 points, where every other word will gain you like 2 or 1 point.
Geez, I was gonna attribute it to, you're connecting a good poem here, and you're using words that, it's just ones and zeros with these 2D girls. Sheesh.
God, don't even think about me. They just think about their own stupid words that they have to worry about. I will say we are going to go after Natsuki for one specific reason.
This ain't going to take forever. We're going to look at every single word.
Every single word. Well, we mainly just have to go for cutesy stuff. Don't worry, I got it. How about flower? That works.
Oh god, I'm going to read something while you're going on with this shit. Alright, my copy of Hear the Wind Sing by Haruki Murakami. There is a second book attached to it, another one of his books that was released around the 70s when these books were, It's another book called Pinball 1973, so we'll just start from the beginning on that one because I have no idea how long this fuck's gonna go for.
It's actually going pretty well, but you can go ahead and do it.
I enjoyed listening to stories about faraway places so much that it became kind of sickness. Back then, a good 10 years ago now, I went around asking everyone to tell me about where they were born and raised. In those days, there must have been a real shortage of good listeners, because everyone I approached talked to me with great enthusiasm. When rumor got out about what I was doing, people I've never laid eyes on started showing up just to tell me their stories. They rambled on and on about anything and everything, as if tossing stones into a dry well, then left feeling satisfied. Some told their stories in high spirits, others in anger. There were stories that felt clear and direct, and other stories that seemed pointless from start to finish.
We're almost done.
Okay. There were boring stories, sob stories, and tongue-in-cheek, off-the-wall stories.
You trying to tell me something?
Always, though, I listened to what they had to say as attentively as I could. My God.
Okay, we did it.
My God, this is just a fucking metaphor to visual novels nowadays. It's like, no matter how boring, no matter how stupid, I will listen to everything. Yeah.
That's kind of funny. Anyway, this is the playthrough where I'm going to try my best to have... Because the fun thing about Literature Club in its second act is that random things start happening, as you noticed from the last episode we had when we just joined the Literature Club again. See, now I'm in
Was that a random event?
Something like the... like that. That's a random event. That only has a chance of happening, so your playthrough might be different than mine.
What?
See, that's why I wanted to show this game, because it's really cool.
Oh, this is gonna be zany! Woo!
We're gonna have a crazy old time.
Hey!
Get out of the way!
Get out of the way! I can't read! I can't read the text in the visual novel! Manga is not literature.
I get the sense of deja vu. What do you think?
I don't know where you're getting that idea.
I don't know where you're getting that idea. Shoots off with a disappointed glance. Now that you're in the club and all, and unfortunately we can't press the skip button because technically this is new.
I've got plenty of books that you can read.
Well, actually, that's a pretty good idea. Why don't I take a little passage here?
All right, I'll go ahead and take over, so if it goes a little fast, I'm sorry, because I'm a real quick reader. But I'm going to have Nisco here read a very short little story by a guy named Ibuse Masuji.
Ah, okay.
This is a story called Carp.
Carp.
Nisco, take it away.
All right, so Carp. For more than a dozen years past, I have been troubled by a carp. The carp was given to me in my student days by a friend, Nampachi Aoki, deceased some years ago. As a mark of his unbounded goodwill, he told me that he had caught it far away, in a pond in the country near his home. The carp at this time was 1 foot long and pure white in color. I was hanging handkerchiefs to dry on the railing outside the window of my boarding house. When Aoki arrived with a aluminum bucket containing a large white carp covered with a mass of waterweed and made me a present of it. As a sign of gratitude for his goodwill, I swore that I would never kill the white carp. Enthusiastically, I fetched a ruler and measured its length and discussed with him where I should keep it. Hey, do you notice something wrong?
Are we at a Dutch angle right now?
The game is tilting. And don't worry, it's not me this time, because I did that in the last episode, but this is happening on its own. And Yuri's getting a little close.
Because I'm so flabbergasted by her stupidity, my head's just, going, are you this stupid girl?
What? I can actually see the main character just tilting his head going, what?
You read this trite? Oh my god.
Anyway, in the back garden of the boarding house, there was a gourd-shaped pond. Its surface was littered with bits and pieces from the trees and bamboo, and I hesitated to release the carp in it, but after a little thought decided that there was no alternative. The carp disappeared into the depths of the pond and did not show itself for several weeks.
Well, it's all fixed.
Oh, okay, good. That winter, I moved to private lodgings. I wanted to take the carp with me, but having no net gave up the idea. Accordingly, once the equinox was passed, I returned to the boarding house to fish for the carp. On the first day, I hooked 2 small roach, which I showed to the master of the house. He had no particular interest in fishing, it seemed, but was surprised that there should have been roach in the gourd-shaped pond, and the next day took his place beside me fishing. At last, on the 8th day, I hooked the carp I wanted, using a silkworm grub. The carp was still as white as ever, and no thinner, but there were transparent parasites lodged on the tips of its fins. Carefully, What the fuck?!
What the heck?!
So now every time the black text shows up, we gotta say it in like a demonic voice, right?
Alright, let me try.
Fucking monocam.
Fucking monocam.
Monocam. Oh, that is pretty demonic. Carefully, I removed
going off the text box. It's silly.
It's going out of everywhere.
It's covering up regular text. That's fucking goofy. What's going on here?
And if you actually look closely, it's not actually covering up any of this regular text. I think it's just...
What's the history?
Look at...
Oh, freaking Monica.
I actually didn't know that.
Oh.
It actually covers up its dirty words. Carefully, I removed them, then filled a metal basin with cold water and put the carp in it. I covered it with a fig leaf. My lodgings, of course, had no pond, I thought, therefore, of killing the carp to have done with it, and many times I took the fig leaf in my fingers and tentatively lifted it. Each time the carp was opening and closing its mouth, breathing easily and peacefully. I took the basin to Aoki's to confer with him about it. I believe your girl has a large pond in her garden, doesn't she? I wonder if she'd take care of the carp. Without hesitation, Aoki led me to the place at the edge of the pond that was overhung by a loquat tree? L-O-Q-U-A-T?
Loquat, yeah.
Loquat tree. Before releasing the carp in the pond, I stressed that although I was putting the carp in a pond that belonged to his mistress, the fish itself was still unquestionably mine. Aoki gave me a look of displeasure. He seemed to take what I said as motivated by a mere desire to please. I had pledged to him earlier that I would always treasure the fish. The carp sank deep into the pool, together with the water from my basin. In the summer, 6 years later, Nampachi Aoki died. That's very sad. Although I had often visited him on his sickbed, I had no idea that the illness was serious. In my ignorance, I felt irritated with him when he would not even accompany me on my walks, and I smoked cigarettes by his bed. I decided I would buy a cactus in the Formosan Pavilion at the exhibition held that year, and take it to Aoki as a present. But he died on the day that I arrived at his home carrying the pot. I stood at the entrance and rang again and again until his mother appeared. But when she saw me, she started sobbing uncontrollably, and I could get nothing out of her. Then I saw all the shoes inside the hall, and among them were dainty feminine shoes that Aoki's mistress always wore. So I placed the potted cactus on a ledge and went home. At the funeral, Don't judge a book!
Don't judge a book at all! It's perfect when it's written! Don't do it! Just don't judge a book ever!
Thanks, Natsuki.
Oh man, they did the border up to like 100 pixels and everything, man. They're fucking serious. Ooh, I'm so terrified.
Let's see. At the funeral, 2 or 3 days later, the potted cactus I had given him stood on my friend's coffin alongside the square, brown student's cap he had always worn. I felt a strong urge to get the white carp from the pond at his girl's place and take it home. The only time he had ever shown displeasure with me had been over the carp. I made up my mind to write a letter to Aoki's girl. I reproduce it here in full, lest Aoki's spirit, God, I can't read today, should misinterpret my motives.
Well, it's tough, it's Japanese.
And surprisingly, English subtitles.
Oh.
Dear Madam, may I offer my heartfelt condolences on the passing of Mr. Nampachi Aoki. I am writing to request your kindness in returning a carp, white and originally 1 foot long, belonging to myself that Mr. Aoki, on my behalf, entrusted to your care in the pond of your garden. In this connection, I should be grateful if, next Sunday, whatever the weather, you would allow me to use my fishing rod there, and if you would leave your back gate open from early morning on that day. Yours respectfully. A reply came. I have set down the full text here, lest Aoki's spirit should misinterpret his girl's motives. Dear Sir, thank you for writing your letter. I find it perhaps a trifle insensitive that you should ask to fish so soon after a funeral, but since you seem to attach extraordinary value to the fish in question, I agree to your request. You will excuse me if I do not meet you or even come out to greet you, but please do not hesitate to do your fishing. Yours in haste. Early on Sunday morning, I crept into the residence of the late Nampachi Aoki's mistress, carrying a luncheon box, together with my rod, bait, and bowl. I was considerably agitated. I should have brought the reply to my letter with me, just in case someone found me. The fruit of the loquat tree.
Loquat.
Loquat.
Just put it up here. Loquat. Put up a picture of it. Do his definition. All that shit. It's loquat. 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 Loquat.
Had already ripened to a golden yellow that inspired a lively appetite. I realized, moreover, that the plants and shrubs by the side of the pond were covered with such a fine display of foliage that they concealed me from both the upstairs window and from the platform on the roof. With the wrong end of my fishing rod, I knocked down one of the loquats. In fact,
this really sums it up. Are you listening, Twin Senpou? I am, but nothing's really happened yet, so I can talk at the same time.
I actually think that's a fourth wall break, so that's
I hope
that's
so.
Kind of funny. I ended up with the wrong end of my fishing rod. I knocked down one of the loquats. In fact, since it was getting near dusk when I finally caught the carp, I ended up by helping myself to a considerable number of the fruit.
Oh, he's getting cynical about anime. I'm excited.
There we go. There's the CG I wanted. Gah.
You wanted?
I mean, I wanted to show.
Okay.
Trust me, there's a reason for this.
Okay.
I released the carp in the pool of Waseda University. Summer came and the students began to swim in the pool. Every day in the afternoon I would go to watch and to marvel, as I peered through the wire netting that surrounded the pool, at the skill with which they swam. I was out of work by now, and the role of spectator suited me particularly well. As sunset approached, the students would come out of the water and, without dressing, would sprawl beneath the lacquer trees, or smoke and chat with each other. Many a deep sigh I heaved as I gazed at their healthy limbs and cheerful sight, and the cheerful sight they made as they swam. When the students had ceased diving into... This is actually really hard. I'm surprised you're able to do this so flawlessly.
Oh, these are tough, really tough translations, you see.
When the students had ceased diving into the water, the surface of the pool seemed still quieter than before. Soon several swallows came flying to the pool, where they flaunted and skimmed the surface. But my white carp stayed deep below the water and refused to show itself. For all I knew, it might be laying dead at the bottom. Jeez. One warm, oppressive night I lay awake till dawn. Then, thinking to get some fresh, early morning air, I went and walked near the pool. At times like this, we are all prone to dwell on our own solitude, or to tell ourselves that we should find some work, or simply to stand for long periods with our hands tucked in our pockets. And then I saw it. There it was, my white carp, swimming about in fine fettle near the surface of the pond. Stepping quietly, I went inside the wire netting and got onto the diving board so that I could see every detail. My carp, making the most of the space at his command, swam about like a king, and in his wake, anxious not to be left behind, swarmed many roach and dozens of dace and killifish, lending the carp that was mine I saw that out of the corner of my eye. That was mine still more lordly air.
This period is very important. That's why I circled it for you.
They just want you to know that's a period.
My dad would beat the shit out of me if he found this period right here.
End quote.
Oh!
With tears of emotion in my eye at the splendid sight, I got down from the diving board, taking care to make no noise. The cold season came, and the surface of the pool was strewn with fallen leaves. Finally, it froze. For that reason, I had already given up any idea of looking for the carp. Yet still I did not neglect to come to the pool every morning, just in case. And I amused myself by throwing countless small stones onto the flat surface of the ice. When I tossed them lightly, they skidded swiftly with a cold sound over the ice. When I flung them straight down, they struck into the icy surface. One morning, the ice was covered with a thin layer of snow. I went and picked up a long bamboo pole, and with it, drew a picture on the face of the ice. It was a picture of a fish, and it must have been close to 20 feet long. In my mind, it was my white carp. When the picture was completed, I thought of writing something by the fish's mouth, but gave up the idea and added instead a large number of roach and killifish, swarming after the carp in fear of being left behind. Yet how stupid and insignificant the roach and killifish looked. Some of them lacked fins. Others, even, had neither mouth nor eyes. I was utterly content. That's so nice. Oh, thanks for the passage, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And what is that called again? What book is that for people at home who want to read it?
Well, the volume that we're using here is the Oxford Book of Japanese Short Stories.
Jesus Christ!
Sounds like a... Whoa!
Oh, what? You know, there was a passage in there that made me think of this exact thing.
My carp.
By the way, the music is distorted. Yeah, let me turn it up just a bit. Yeah, it's glitching.
That's funny.
It is funny. Anyway, sorry, Natsuki. She is broken. Oh. What? I mean, she fell asleep right next to us, but that's nothing. She's a little ashamed of her glitching problem.
Sorry, data just flows out of my eye sockets whenever I don't take my medication.
So many ones and zeros come spilling out. This reminds me of a Snickers commercial. Natsuki, you're not you when you're hungry.
Here, have a Snickers. Better?
Better. What? Why? She's fine. Well, I know she's fine. She looks great now. Just happens every now and then. Really? Does it? Okay. By the way, if you do that, if you're able to get that CG scene with Natsuki, none of that happens. This is all exclusively Act 2.
Oh.